Well, I think we should give one more round of applause for Karen Ferguson and Karen Friedman and their staff. 40 years, 4 decades for protecting beneficiaries. It gives me great pleasure to present the first of our 3 Pension Rights Center Public Service Retirement Security Superhero Awards. And the first goes to the Honorable Phyllis Borzi for all of her important work. As everyone knows, and so I cut this line, but I will say it. She's the Assistant Secretary for Employee Benefit Security at the Department of Labor. Phyllis is a longtime friend of the Pension Rights Center and a longtime friend of mine. Karen Friedman talked about this being a family affair, and it absolutely is. Indeed, I've been a member of the board for 20 years. We joke, and Dan will appreciate this, we joke that like a family, you're always a member. You never retire. And I've known Phyllis twice as long. I've known Phyllis for 40 years. We were young staffers together when she was Pension and Employee Benefits Counsel for the House Subcommittee on Labor Management Relations. And I was working on the same issues in the Senate as a legislative assistant to Senator Danforth. I was struck at the time by Phyllis's intelligence, her drive, her strategic sense, her compassion, and not unimportantly, her sense of humor. I knew at the time she would make extremely important contributions over her career, and indeed she has. As a lawyer in private practice, as a professor at George Washington University, and as a public servant, she has improved the lives of everyday Americans. Now, I could spend hours going through these contributions, but I see many of you are standing. So let me just give you 2. One from the beginning of her career and one more recently. When she was working on the Hill, she was instrumental in shaping and passing the Retirement Equity Act, which helped millions of widows and divorced spouses to this very day. And I think that deserves another round of applause. Recently, as you all know, she has been a key leader in the administration's effort, and she has been unwavering and tireless in her commitment to the development and ultimately the release of the fiduciary rules, ending this conflict of investment advice, which really is a superhero effort. And I think superhero is the right word for this. Superheroes are known for swooping in, improving the situation, swooping out, and everybody turning and saying, who was that masked woman? Well, that is Phyllis. Like those superheroes, most Americans have never heard her name, but every American owes her a deep gratitude for all that she has done. Phyllis, for your lifetime of work defending the retirement income of workers and retirees, the Pension Rights Center is delighted to present you with the Public Service Retirement Security Superhero Award.
That was wonderful.
I remember us as youngsters.
Oh my goodness.
Show everyone.
Well, thank you all. I'm going to be very brief because I have a very bad sinus infection. I don't know how long my voice will last. First of all, I want to congratulate the Pension Rights Center on 40 wonderful years. All of us in this room know how hard the Karens and their staff have worked over the years, the board, and I don't think there's any of the things that I could have worked on that I would have been able to do without your support, so I really appreciate it. And of course, I want to thank the Pension Rights Center and the board for this incredible honor. I said to somebody, it's sort of like being at your funeral, but being able to greet people. You know, I have been so lucky over my 40-plus year career because I have worked in a series of jobs, every single one that I love. Every time I lost a job or left a job, I never thought I'd find a better one. And yet, every time I move to a new career, move to a new job, it's even better than the last. It's not just the jobs, it's the ability that I've been honored to have to continue to work to try to keep retirement security in the forefront of everybody's mind. And it's particularly the people, my colleagues, at each and every one of the jobs that I've had. And I see so many good friends, old friends here as well. You know, I count myself extraordinarily lucky that I have friends really all across the employee benefit world. I think I have friends in the business community, in industry generally, service provider community, academics, my lawyer friends, some of which I spent the afternoon with today. Certainly my colleagues in the academic world, in the advocate community, in the labor community, and no shortage of thanks to my colleagues in government service. It takes very special people. I've been very lucky to have 2 stints in the government, my 16 years on Capitol Hill, and now my 7.5+ years at the Department of Labor. But all of you have made me smarter, stronger, and helped me do the most important thing that we have to do in the public policy arena, which is to think about the interests of everybody else, all the stakeholders, and try to balance the interests of the people that we're trying to protect with the people who offer the benefits. And that's not an easy task. And you know, one of the reporters asked me after the conflict of interest rule was issued, how many people worked on it? And I said, well, you know that book, It Takes a Village? It took us 2. And that's probably understating it. And so as I look out and see all of you, it's so exciting to me because most of you I can trace back to different parts of my career. And I thank each and every one of you because each and every one of you, contact with you, working with you, talking with you, I think has made me a better public servant. I'm going to tell you a story that I tell often, so I apologize to people, particularly people from the Labor Department that may have heard this a million times, but you know, I think on occasions like this, when I think over my whole career and all the things that I've worked on, I think of the advice my dad gave me. You know, I'm sure I was a great frustration to my parents. I'm the eldest of 4, and so they had to put up with me for a few more years than the rest of my siblings. And I was always a kid who couldn't mind my own business. When I saw people that I thought were being treated unfairly, I had to get right in there and do something about it. And it was a source of great frustration to my parents, I know. You know, I think in their hearts they were sort of proud of the fact that I would be willing to stick up for other people. But they thought it was not a quality, butting into everybody's business, that would actually keep me in good company. So my father sat me down one day and gave me what I always describe as the talk. Now, it's probably not the talk that you have given your kids, but this is what he said. He said, you know, and my father was very close. My father fought in the Second World War, and he was very close to a lot of his buddies that fought with him. And every summer he entertained all the people in the tri-state area. I grew up on Long Island, and they'd all sit around in our backyard talking about the war. And my father sat me down and he said, now look, in the war, this is what my commanding officer said to me. He said, you know, when you're in a war, when you're in the army, you have to fight every battle. You don't have a choice. You just fight every battle. In life, you have a choice. In life, you can pick the hill you choose to die on. And that's how I've lived my life. There are lots of things that I wish I had done, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I've tried to make my choices, particularly in my latter years as my strength has ebbed. I tried to pick things that I thought made an important difference in people's lives. And those are the things that I chose to pursue. And so every time I'm faced with a decision about an issue that I think I really need to jump right in and do something about, I think about my dad, and I think about my mom, and I think about the fact that I ask myself, is this a hill I choose to die on? Now, my colleagues at the Department of Labor tell me that I shouldn't talk about dying, but I've had some spectacular failures alongside of my perhaps modest successes. So they say I shouldn't talk about the hill that I choose to die on, but the hill I choose to fight on. And either is true. Either is true. So I'm grateful to my parents. I'm grateful to my siblings. I'm grateful to all of my colleagues in and outside of government. I'm not sure where my next assignment will be. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing after I turn out those lights in my office on high noon on January 20th. But I promise you this, that wherever I am and whatever I do, I'll still be trying to make things better for people in whatever capacity I can. And so I want to finally thank again the Pension Rights Center, and really thanks to all of you for coming to honor all three of us tonight. It's really very wonderful. Thank you so much.